She stood up at my birthday dinner, tapped her glass, cleared her throat, and gave the most beautiful speech I have ever heard in my life. She talked about growing up together, about the fights we had as kids, and how we always made up before bedtime. About the time I stayed up all night with her when she had her heart broken at 19. About how I was her best friend before I was her sister. Every person at that table was crying. I was crying. 3 hours earlier, I had picked up her phone by mistake and read 47 messages between her and my husband. I sat through that entire speech. I clapped that I wiped my tears. I hugged her, and I smiled, because I had already decided what I was going to do. And nobody at that table had any idea. Drop your city name right now in the comments, and hit subscribe button, because what happened in the next 72 hours completely changed my life. My name is Cassandra Webb. Cassie to everyone who knows me. I am 30 years old and I live in Nashville, Tennessee. The kind of city that hums with music and energy and the particular feeling that anything could happen on any given night. I have lived there for 6 years. I moved there for my husband. His name is Drew Webb. We met at 22 in college. He was studying business. I was studying communications. We met at a campus event, and he made me laugh 3 times in the first 10 minutes, and I thought, this one is different. We dated for 2 years. We got engaged. We got married at 25 in a small ceremony in my parents' backyard in Knoxville with fairy lights and my grandmother's ring, and my sister standing beside me as maid of honor. My sister, Gabrielle Holloway. Gabby, 2 years younger than me. Dark hair where I have light. Loud where I am quiet. The kind of person who walks into a room and within 5 minutes knows everyone's name. We were best friends. I want to say that clearly, not as a setup, not as a device, but because it is true and because it matters. We were genuinely, deeply, completely best friends. I told her everything. Everything. And she had been lying to me for 6 months. Let me tell you exactly how it happened. Because these things never happen the way you imagine they might. There is no dramatic confrontation. No moment of sudden clarity. Just an ordinary accident that splits your life cleanly into before and after. My birthday was on a Saturday. Drew had planned a dinner at Josephine, a beautiful restaurant in Nashville that I had been wanting to try for 2 years. 12 people, my closest friends and family. Candles and flowers and a custom cake that Gabby had apparently spent 3 days organizing. We arrived at 7. Everything was perfect. At 8:15 I went to the bathroom. I picked up my phone from the table. Except it was not my phone. Gabby and I have the same case. Rose gold, small scratch on the left corner. I had picked up hers by mistake. I was going to put it down immediately. But it was open, and the name at the top of the screen was Drew. I stood in the middle of Josephine restaurant with my sister's phone in my hand, and I read the message on the screen. Then I scrolled up. I stood there for 4 minutes and 17 seconds. I know the exact time because I counted. Then I put the phone in my bag. I walked to the bathroom. I stood at the sink and looked at myself in the mirror for a very long time. And then I washed my hands, fixed my lipstick, and walked back to my birthday dinner. Gabby stood up 20 minutes after I sat back down. She tapped her glass with a knife, that clear bright sound that makes a whole room go quiet, and she smiled at me across the table. And she gave that speech. Every word of it true, as far as I could tell. The fights as kids. Making up before bedtime. Staying up all night when she was 19 and heartbroken. She is my best friend before she is my sister, she said. And I am so grateful every single day that I get to watch her build this beautiful life. Drew was beside me. He took my hand. He squeezed it. I squeezed back. I looked at my sister's face, open, emotional, completely unguarded, and I felt something I did not have a word for. Not anger. Not yet. Something colder and more precise than anger. Clarity. I knew exactly who these two people were. I knew exactly what they had been doing. And I knew exactly what I was going to do about it. I just needed 72 hours. We got home at 11. Drew said it was a wonderful evening. I agreed. He fell asleep by midnight. I sat in the kitchen with a glass of water and my sister's phone, which I had not yet returned, and I read every single message from the beginning. 6 months. It had started 6 months ago. A text from Gabby that said, "Just checking in on you. Cassie mentioned you seemed stressed lately." Drew's response, "Thanks for asking. It means a lot." And then slowly, incrementally, over 6 months of texts and calls and 2 meetings I could now identify on our shared calendar as things Drew had told me were work events. It had become something else. I documented everything, screenshots, dates, times, the 2 calendar entries. I sent them to my personal email from Gabby's phone. Then I put Gabby's phone in my bag. And I went to bed. I lay in the dark beside my husband, and I thought about 6 years. About the campus event where he made me laugh 3 times in 10 minutes. About my grandmother's ring on my finger at 25. About every ordinary Tuesday and Sunday morning and late night conversation that had made up the architecture of the life I thought I had. And I thought about 72 hours. Because I needed to do this right. Stay with me. Because what I did in the next 72 hours was not what most people would expect. And if you have ever been betrayed by the 2 people you trusted most, you're going to want to see how I handled this. Subscribe if you have not, and keep watching. I called my college roommate Danny first thing Sunday morning. Danny is a family law attorney in Nashville. She has been my friend for 12 years. She answered on the second ring. "Happy belated birthday," she said. "I need your help," I said. Silence. "How bad?" she said. "Drew and Gabby," I said. A longer silence. "I am coming over," she said. She was at my kitchen table in 40 minutes. Drew had gone to play golf. Sunday morning ritual, always gone by 9, back by 1. Danny looked at every screenshot. She looked at the calendar entries. She looked at me. "Okay," she said. "Here is what we are going to do. We spent 4 hours at that kitchen table." By the time Drew's car pulled into the driveway at 1:15 p.m., I had spoken to a divorce attorney, transferred my personal savings to a separate account, made copies of every joint financial document in the house, and photographed every piece of paperwork in Drew's home office. Drew walked in and said the golf had been great. I said wonderful. I made him a sandwich. I smiled. And I waited for Monday. Monday morning Drew left for work at 8. I called Gabby at 8:15. She answered immediately, warm, normal, completely unsuspecting. "Hey, are you still glowing from Saturday? That dinner was so fun. I have your phone," I said. Silence. "Oh God," she said. "I have been looking everywhere." "I know," I said. "I read the messages, Gabby." The silence that followed was the longest of my life. "Cassie, I am not calling to fight," I said. "I am calling because I need you to know that I know. And I need you to know that I am not going to pretend I don't. Please let me explain." "There is nothing to explain," I said. I read 47 messages. "I understand exactly what happened." "Cassie, please. I loved you," I said. "I trusted you with everything." That's all I wanted to say. I ended the call. I sat in my kitchen in the quiet. And then I picked up the phone and called Drew's office. His assistant said he was in a meeting. I said, "Please tell him to come home. It is important." Drew walked through the front door at 11 a.m. He looked at my face. He looked at the folder on the kitchen table, containing every screenshot, every document, everything Danny and I had compiled on Sunday. And he knew. I watched his face in the moment of knowing, and I felt nothing. Not anger. Not grief. Not satisfaction. Just the particular stillness of a decision already made. "How long have you known?" he said. "Since Saturday," I said. He closed his eyes. "Cassie, the divorce papers are already drafted," I said. "Danny is handling it. I am asking you to make this simple. Sign. Move out. Let us be done. Can we talk about?" "No," I said. "We cannot." He looked at me for a long time. The man who had made me laugh 3 times in 10 minutes at 22. "I am so sorry," he said. "I know," I said. "It didn't mean." "Please don't finish that sentence," I said. He didn't. Drew moved out within the week. The divorce was finalized 4 months later. Straightforward, no children. Danny made sure it was clean and fair. Gabby called 17 times over the first 2 weeks. I did not answer. She showed up at my door once. I opened it. I looked at her. And I said, "I need time. I do not know how much. Please respect that." She nodded. She left. It has been 8 months now. I have not spoken to her properly since that Monday morning phone call. My parents know. I told them calmly and completely, without asking them to choose sides. They have struggled with it. Family dinners are different now. There is an absence that everyone feels and nobody quite knows how to address. I have moved into a smaller apartment. My choice, I wanted a fresh start. And I have started doing things I had quietly stopped doing over 6 years of building a life around someone else. I run on Sunday mornings now. I went back to painting, something I had loved at 20 and slowly abandoned. I have dinner with Danny every Thursday. Last month I laughed so hard at something she said that I spilled my wine, and she laughed even harder, and I sat there in the mess of it thinking, I am going to be okay. Not in spite of what happened, because of what I chose to do when it did. My sister stood at my birthday dinner and gave the most beautiful speech. Every word of it was true. That is the part one keep coming back to. She meant every single word she said about growing up together, about the fights and making up before bedtime, about staying up all night when she was 19. She loved me and betrayed me at the same time. And somehow that is harder than if she had simply not loved me at all. I have thought a lot about forgiveness. Not for their sake, I want to be honest about that. I have done enough work to know that forgiveness is not something you do for the person who hurt you. It is something you do so that the weight of it stops living in your body. I am not there yet, but I am walking toward it. Slowly. On Sunday mornings when I run and the Nashville air is cool and the city is still waking up, I think about what it means to rebuild something. Not the same thing, something new, built on what you actually know now rather than what you hoped was true. My grandmother's ring is in a box in my dresser drawer. Someday I will decide what to do with it. For now, I am just running.